and with my co-host,
Kimberly Escobar.
And on today's show, we'll be talking about good habits and our current struggles and how good habits in general have an impact in our lives. But before we do that, we do have an icebreaker question. And my icebreaker question for Kimberly is, what is your current favorite drink?
Currently, because I work at a cafe, I've been drinking a lot of I've been making myself like an iced vanilla coffee.
Oh, okay.
Is that what it's called? Yeah.
What if it has
Iced
milk? It's a
coffee.
latte.
No, it's an iced coffee.
Oh, an iced coffee.
With
Okay, cool.
But I make it like my own way. It's not like because I'm sorry. I just like the way that I like it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's nice. Right now, my favorite favorite drink, if we're talking about coffee, since you went that way, I love vanilla latte. I usually am a coffee person, nothing added. But when I don't want something too strong, I do love a vanilla latte with either soy or oat milk. I can't have regular milk, but I do love coffee. And lately, I've been way into coffee. Like,
I literally had a vanilla latte today.
really?
Yeah, and an iced coffee. I had both.
Yeah, well, leading into that actually kind of connects with what we're going to be talking about in it. It's habits. So the first question that I have is, what is a habit? And I'm going to start with the actual definition that I got on Google. And it says, a settled or a regular tendency or practice, especially one that is hard to give up. But I read an article and it talked about how habit is related with behavior, like how those are two different. So I'm gonna read it. Habit is a behavior done with little or no thought. With a routine, it involves a series of behaviors, frequently and intentionally being repeated. A behavior has to be a regularly performed routine before it can become a habit at all. That's a little bit kind of confusing when you read it, and I was a bit confused. What does it mean? Because there's certain things that are not considered a habit, but can look like a habit. And the best way I think of a habit is basically being an autopilot.
Autopilot?
Yeah, and I'm gonna give you an example. Have you ever been in your car? I mean, if you've been driving for a long time, you've probably had this experience where you're driving and you have no idea how you drove from one place to another. Like you were there.
That happens.
Yeah.
I like space out.
That is called an autopilot. Like you're an auto. Like you're not at the beginning when you were driving. You start thinking about, okay, I'm gonna turn on the car. I'm gonna slowly let go of the brake. I'm gonna put it on drive. You know, all those little things that when you start driving are first in your thought constantly. Like look at the mirrors. But then when you've been driving for a couple of months and then years, you start to realize that you do that automatically. You don't even think about it, right? You don't even think about how you're supposed to let go of the brakes. Not at all. So that is, to me, the best way I can think of a habit. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, do you want to add something?
I feel like since you said the definition, I feel like some things I've been doing is probably not a habit, and I just consider it a habit.
Okay.
It's just like normal to me.
Okay.
That's like a habit.
Yeah, and I wanted, when we were doing our research for this topic, I wanted to also kind of get an understanding on how do we gain the habits we have. And from my observation within my life, I realized that my habits are based on things I like, based on things that have been passed on to me as a child. So not necessarily that I create those habits, but let's say my mom would say something or has gotten me to do something so constant that now that I'm older, it's something that is so normal to me. And then other habits that I have, I realized I have learned over time, you know. Now, it's kind of with me thinking about a good habit and a bad habit, I feel like it all depends on the person and what you're working for. But I think to categorize a good habit for me, it's something that is helping you improve your life, helping you achieve those goals you have set for yourself. And I'm going to set examples, and then I'm going to ask you what are some habits that you think are good habits in your life, right?
Okay.
So for me, or some examples I found online, it was like drinking water, exercising, sleeping early. Those were 3 that I found. Just example of good habits that people might have. Now, what are good habits you have or habits that you currently have?
I'd say definitely working out, but at the same time, as we were like talking about this earlier, like, oh, it's motivation, but then because recently I feel like I haven't been in that good habit of working out just because of I have like a lot going on, and I actually have only gone like once this week to the gym.
Okay.
So that habit kind of got lost between these like past 2 weeks.
Okay. Now, that technically then kind of falls into a routine, right?
Yeah.
Is that what we
so
said?
then I was like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
You know who gives me a perfect example of someone who has like working out as a habit? It's Arnold. Arnold. He said, I think I've mentioned on the show before, but he was on a podcast and they asked him, I think you're over 60 years old. Why do you still work out? And his answer really kind of connects with a habit. He said, he asks the podcaster, why do you have breakfast every day? And the guy kind of looks at him and he's like, you had breakfast yesterday, you had breakfast the day before, you've had breakfast last year, you have had breakfast every single day for your past life. That's the same thing with working out for me. I worked out yesterday, I worked out the day before, and I'm going to continue to work out tomorrow until, I'm no longer here, because it's so embedded in his life that it's automatically, right? So that to me is a good example of what having the habit of working out, right? You kind of see that?
I had that. Like, the thing is, like, this is like the first time that in my time of working out, I stopped going for like the days that I normally go. And I don't know why. Like, I feel like I just have a lot right now. And so I just haven't been going. Like last week, I think I only went like 2 to 3 days. This week, I've gone 2 days this week, but that's it.
Does it have to do with like your schedule now?
Yeah,
how it's
like,
changed?
my schedule keeps like changing, and then like more things keep getting added, and I'm like, oh. But then it's also showing me that I need to like step back from a few things.
Okay.
And just like, because working out is like a priority for me, but I feel like right now I'm not prioritizing it at all.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for sharing, because that's a good example of like how habits are created, right? Because for a lot of people, they start to realize that certain things are overwhelming them, and they find out what their priorities are, and they work on those, and it becomes a constant thing. Like, oh no, I need to work on this before I can do all of that stuff. An example of that is how people lose habits, right? And gain other type of habits. Like, because you're so busy, you stop working out. You gain habits of, like, let's say an example, you come home and you just lay on the couch and watch TV. Because now you've got so much on your plate and you're tired and you don't have time, you don't want to go to the gym, and you start having the habit of, let's say, every single day at 7 p.m. you get home and watch TV. It's a habit you start building, and then, yeah, so it's two-sided. But continue on to sharing with us, what are your habits?
Drinking water.
Okay.
I have a good habit of drinking water. It's just that thing. I started like just drinking water, I think like the past like year, and like only drinking water. And the way that I stay like consistent with that, and like I'm like, okay, I'm just only gonna drink water, is having my water bottle with me. I have it right now. And I literally take it anywhere. I take it to restaurants, even though like they have water there. I bring my water bottle because, like, oh, I want to drink water. It's just like a habit for me, I guess. So just simply just sip out of my water bottle.
Yeah, I've seen you do that very often. And she's like always carrying her water bottle everywhere. So that's a good habit to have for sure. What else?
Are we doing good habits right now?
Yeah, you can just share kind of any habits, and then...
This is a bad habit, though.
Okay. Even better, because we can kind of see that not everyone is perfect. You see us up here, but we do have our things we're not proud of.
Yeah. I'd say it's studying. I like recently I noticed this, and I'm like, ugh, I really need to like not do this. Last semester, I had a really good habit of studying, and throughout the whole semester, I I was studying, and I would have like, I choose my dates. Okay, I'm gonna study this day for this amount of time, and I wouldn't be on my phone or anything, and I'd get it done, and I was able to pass all my classes with good grades. And then this semester, I like completely stopped doing that, and I just had a midterm. And for that midterm, I probably studied for one day tops.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I actually think I did fine. But the thing is, like, I know I got like one question wrong because I know I did not answer it correctly. And I just answered it in a way that I know she wouldn't accept it.
Okay.
But then thinking after I took that exam, I was thinking if I would have actually put time into studying, prioritizing it and keeping it as a habit, I would have done like way better, and I would have felt like 10 times more confident leaving that exam.
Okay.
Because that exam was also all written. It was a 2-hour written exam.
So that I don't think I could ever.
Even worse.
Okay.
But I know I could have done better if I actually studied for at least like a week in total instead of one day.
Okay. How does your phone distract you?
Yes.
Okay.
That is my problem. I spend a lot of time on social media.
On social media?
And just like scrolling through TikTok. And one thing that I want to like do to fix that is put that one like app that makes it, what is it called? Like screen something? Like it like turns off. It's like usually for kids, like with their
yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Actually, it is on your iPhone. Your iPhone has that feature where you can give yourself a code.
But I don't want to do it.
See, habit requires a lot of discipline.
Yes.
And that is so hard to maintain if you don't know your why, like why you're doing it.
Yeah.
Right? If you just do because whatever, it's going to be really hard for you to figure out how to keep that going. Thank you for sharing. Do you have any more?
Yes. One more. It's kind of similar to like studying.
Okay.
Or it's not like school related like at all, but with some, I want to go into like not necessarily like social media as a career, but I just like doing it. And there are certain things that I'm doing right now that involve like doing social media.
Okay.
And I'm not disciplined with that. Like you like work in it, so you have like times when you're gonna post and all that.
Yeah.
I'm not disciplined with that like at all, and it's like it's a habit that I want to have.
Okay.
To being able to be like, okay, I'm gonna do it like same with studying, like do it this day, post on that day, and then like try to get something done for that on this day, you know?
Yeah. I think just organization, discipline, it all fits in one category because then they help you build really good habits. I can relate a lot with you on like, it's funny because you have a really good habit of drinking water. I am not very good at that. I even asked, and I did a poll on my Instagram, and I asked, how good are you at drinking water? And it was a very interesting question because a lot of people either don't drink water or they just don't remember, and that is one of the things that I have a really hard time. I'm not a big like milk or juice person. I just really forget to drink water, and the only times that I remember that I need to drink water when my head starts to hurt. And I'm like, why is my head hurting? And then I realize, oh, duh, you haven't even drinking a cup of water. And it's a horrible thing to have. So the fact that you're really good at that, it just kind of shows like how we're all very different. Exercising has always been a part of my life, and I think the only times I do not work out during the day is if I'm sick or there's an injury that I have, but I'm usually very disciplined with my workouts because it's gotten to the point where if I don't work out, my body feels like it's missing something. And to me, it's that time when I work out. So sometimes it's 11 at night and I'm still working out because I have to. Like, that's just kind of how I've trained my body. And like I said, now it's like, for example, I had a huge allergy attack with my eyes, and you can even hear that I kind of still have it, where I wasn't able to work out. And this week has felt so long and so fast at the same time because my body's asking, why are we not working out? But it's because I've built that, right? So that's for me. And yeah, for me, having some type of physical activity is super important in my life. It's something that's just embedded there.
Yeah, that's how I feel as well. Like I can feel myself, like my body just like wanting to work out.
Yeah.
And, like, even like literally just like going for a run. And I worked out yesterday as well. And it just felt like so weird. Like I don't know what is going on with me in the gym right now, but I'm like trying to figure it out. And I know it's gonna like get by. I think it's just something like within me that's like not wanting me. But I'm trying to figure it out with myself because the gym right now is just like not working for me right now.
No, but it's good that you notice like where you're kind of lacking, because then you can look at what you're doing and see what's causing that, when I think is important. Because some people just let it go and let it go. But yeah, I think I definitely relate with you on that. And then I don't go to school, so I don't relate with your studying, but I can definitely relate on productivity, right? And that means that, yeah, I manage a lot of social media accounts and things, and I have the habit of my bad habit would be, one is they're kind of connected. It's not getting enough rest, right? Like I go to sleep, but sometimes I'm in bed with my phone, and then next thing you know, it's 1 a.m. and I'm still up. That's a really bad habit to have, because then in the morning I wake up a bit later, and when it's time for me to like start designing things for social media, my mind isn't there because my mind didn't get enough rest. It's very two different things where you sleep and you actually get good rest. I didn't have enough rest. So that's a really something that I've struggled with the past last year and this year, is that having that, like being actually productive rather than busy. And so, but my productivity is super slow sometimes because of that I sleep late. And then I wake up either earlier or a bit later. So it just kind of messes with things. So that's definitely one for me. And I have a horrible thing of not eating. Not because I'm like, I don't want to eat because I want to get skinny. I literally just, because I'm designing, sometimes I get zoned in, and next thing you know, it's 11 or 12 at noon and I haven't had breakfast. And then I have breakfast, technically it's brunch because I'm having breakfast and lunch. And then I'm full until like 6 and I have dinner. Or sometimes I go throughout the whole day without eating until it's dinner time, and I'm like, wow, this is my first meal of the day. So I have bad habit that I have is not setting time for me to eat. You know, at work you get your break.
Yeah.
Like whether you eat or not, that's like on you, but you still have that time, and I don't set myself that time. So it's kind of interesting.
I have the same exact.
You do? It's
With
so bad.
sleeping and eating, I probably sleep like 5 hours or like less. Like sometimes, most nights, like 4 hours.
Oh, wow.
And it's so bad because your body needs rest. Your body needs to re-energize. And then your brain gets proper sleep. It's either 3 or 4 hours where it's actually like no noise, no light. Because there's like a sensor, if it sees light, if you're like, because even if your like eyes are closed, like your brain can detect the light and the sound, it wakes up. So your brain's not actually resting. And so those like, I forget what the word is. There's like a cycle for it of when you sleep. But yeah, I probably do not get any of that. Probably like, there's always that every month there's a random day or I go to sleep at 8 p.m. Like it's so exhausted. It happens to me every single month. I've noticed that. And every month, randomly, I go to sleep at 8 p.m. I knock out for the whole entire day. And I don't wake up till like midday next day.
Oh, wow.
And I feel like that's so bad because it's my body telling me like, girl,
need to
you gotta sleep. But
no. I think I get my those days on the weekend where I can sleep and I wake up
don't get
late.
that either.
Like I wake up late.
I wake up early on the weekends as well. So there's like no day that I wake up.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
The eating, and I think we do share that in common on that, because sometimes you're like, I haven't had anything to eat.
Yeah. But for me, it's not. For me, it's also like not. Oh, I want to be like skinny. Like I want to eat to be healthy. And
Yeah.
Like, because I work out, so it's like I'm burning all these calories. My body needs food, and I never eat 3 meals, which is like so bad. I don't remember when I've last eaten like 3 meals or like 2 meals. It's probably just like 1 meal tops. The thing is, I sometimes just eat a lot of snacks. But recently, one of my friends has been bringing me food every day because they know I don't eat, and I love that. Like I love that.
No, and if we talk about like what the habits you have, how they affect you, because I have a good habit of working out,
Yeah.
but I have a horrible habit of sleeping and eating, and that has a huge impact on my progress. For example, I did a test. So January, like after we had the whole holiday, at the second week of January to about February, I set my mind to eating 3 meals a day. And I felt sometimes I didn't have the appetite, and I was like, you just got to get your body used to eating, because your body's so used to you not eating that it's gained that habit of like, I'm not going to bother her, not going to ask her for food. But I started eating 3 times a day. And not that my goal was like shrink, right? But I lost and saw so much more improvement in my body than I have ever seen before, because I started eating good. And I was like, oh, okay, it's my fault. Because I saw that. And then my family started noticing the difference, and I was like, I know, but I didn't cut food. I actually let myself eat food. So that has been a huge life-changing for me. And I am going to talk more about sleep later in the show, because it is one of the struggles that I'm struggling with. But I did notice that I'm more productive for sure. I get a lot of things more done. And so sleep is super. If you have a good habit of a good sleeping schedule, how you rest your body is really good for you. If you go to school,
It's so important.
yeah, if you go to school, it's going to help you with studying. If you're working, it's going to help you definitely to be more productive and not feel that fatigue.
Yeah. And I feel like a good habit to have also is like, for studying wise, I've heard that studying the night before, like, or studying like at night before you sleep is a good way that your brain memorizes the information, because it's put into it, and then you sleep, and then you're like, it's still on your mind, so then you sleep with it. You get what I'm saying? And then if you're getting that 8 hours and that good cycle, it makes you retain that information even more. So that's a good like way to, and then that's why when I'm like, and it's not a good habit, I do this, I'm like guilty of it, but it's not a good habit to like, I'm like super sleepy, it's like 1 a.m, and I'm like studying and like trying to like learn this information. It's just not, you're not even gonna get the information. It's like more likely for you to not even like let it go to your brain, because your brain's just thinking about like, oh, I want to sleep.
Oh, okay.
So,
yeah.
if you want to study, like study, but make sure you're getting that sleep so you actually get the information, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. I have a follow-up question is, what are habits you want to have? Like
all the habits, all my bad habits.
yeah, like what's something that when you think about it, it sticks out to you? That
Eating. That's something I probably
Okay.
say every day. I'm like, oh, I didn't eat, or like, oh, I need to eat. That's something I tell myself every day. And I'm like, I need to start eating. And I tell myself the night before, okay, I'm gonna wake up early, I'm gonna eat, but I don't wake up early because I'm so tired because I didn't sleep. So sleeping and eating, both of those.
Okay. Now I am gonna talk a little bit about how to build a good habit, or how to create a habit in your life. And because I just realized that we're talking so much about habits and how they impact us. Now, how do you start kind of creating or finding habits that fit for you? And this is an exercise that I've been doing currently right now. And I started off with saying, okay, what do I want to accomplish for 2023? Like for the rest of 2023. And I kind of categorize them in different categories. I did spiritual, family, like economic, education or knowledge, however you want to name it. And I started categorizing, and then I started putting in certain like things I wanted for that for that section, right? After I created then a new document that explained more in depth about what I needed to do in order for me to have those for those to be achieved, right? So I went from like a year to then monthly, right? Like what I need to my monthly things, and then in that same document I did monthly, what's my monthly milestone, and then what I need to do every week in order for me to get that monthly milestone, right? And one of the biggest things for me was the sleeping part, right? So I started realizing, okay, what in my life am I doing that is not helping me achieve that? And I started realizing that it was sleeping late and going to bed until 11, and then I'm in bed until 12 a.m. and then 1 a.m. And I'm like, what am I doing during that time? And I realized, okay, I'm sometimes on my phone, and sometimes I am not on my phone, and I randomly have the idea to organize my closet or my room, and I'm there and you just hear me. So I said, let's try.
Me too.
Literally what happens in my bedroom. So then I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to not have a charger next to my bed, and I'm not going to charge my phone. Like, I'm just not. Okay. And then I started noticing patterns because I do not have a charger next to my bed anymore. But I still carry my phone until it dies to my bed. So then I said, oh no, like how am I going to get a good habit out of this? Like, I need to fix certain things. So then I started again, okay, what am I going to do in order for that habit to work? So then I kind of did research, and I said, okay, 30 minutes before bed, I am not going to talk any type of technology. I am not. I'm going to force myself to not. And then I put my phone on sleep mode. So no messages, no notifications come on my phone. And I'll just lay in bed and read a book. That's what I had in mind. And then I started doing that, and I realized that wasn't helping. Like, reading in bed wasn't helping. So then I was like, what is going on? And then one day I was going to we went to a coffee shop, and I was explaining my struggles with a group of two guys that we were working with our mentor. And the lady goes, can I interrupt you? Because I hear you're having struggles with sleep. And I said, yeah, go ahead. And she goes, I have like extreme sleep problems, and this is what I learned from a professional. And when she told me, I was like, man, I didn't think about that. So she said that if you have the opportunity, don't use your bed specifically for anything than just sleep. Train your brain to think that your bed is for you to sleep. Do not read on your bed. Do not watch anything on your bed. Do not study on your bed. Don't do anything in your bed. Train it to think that is to go to sleep. And I said, okay, what if I want to read or anything? She said, find any other place. You can read on the floor. You can read on the couch. You can read in the kitchen, anything. And then 30 minutes before you go to sleep, do not touch any technology. And then she said, it's going to be hard for maybe a month for you to keep doing that. But automatically your brain and body start to work together and say, it's time to go to bed. And it will shut off. And that kind of gave me an example of what a good habit, or how to gain a habit, right? Because it's not an easy thing. You got to know why you're doing it, and you got to set steps for you to do it. And it's not going to be easy because you already have a habit that's stuck, right? Remember, habit is autopilot. You don't even think about doing it. So you're trying to untrain your brain to do that. So it requires a lot of work. And so she told me that, and I was like, that's so true. Like, if I think about my bed, like I read there, sometimes I'm designing on my bed. And she said, no, because you confuse your brain. That's why when your brain is in bed, it starts to think all over the place. And I was like, oh man, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, I've heard that before. Like, don't do anything on your bed that's not related to you sleeping.
Yeah.
That's like with like anything. Like, don't like with the couch too, I feel like. Because then you would just end up knocking out on the couch.
Yeah, she mentioned that. She said, if you feel... So she was like, if you go read Or if you're like, you go lay on the couch and you sleep, you said no because you're training your brain to say the couch is for sleeping.
Yeah.
So you can't do that. So the minute you feel like, oh my God, I am tired, do not start anything new.
Just go to bed.
Just go to bed. Right? Just go to bed. Because then you start training your brain. And that is something that I still need to work on. But that gave me more of an idea of like, oh, that's how I'm going to autopilot my brain and train it to do something completely different. With that being said, though, we are in the middle of the show and we're going to play a song by Ismael Lara and we will be right back.
With you by my side.
Yeah. In the whip, thinking of your smile and your perfect laugh, I know you're still alive. Cause I feel presence next to me with you by my side. I'm indestructible, more powerful. I'm gonna make you proud. Saying I don't wanna one south. Fast tracking through the Golden Gate, trying to get home a buy. I know everything's gonna be alright. This last week I seen you in my dream, and you said it ain't bye. You said don't shed no more tears. I just want you to know these sparkling tears contain core memories and spark the projection from the fondest memories of my life. Each tear's a flashback. Each tear runs down my face like a half-bag. I celebrate them. This path I was meant for. Pain and lessons, gifts from the heavens, no longer question. They strain my bond, my sons, so we don't commit the same mistakes in the streets cold game. To transform darks to light, we meant for. To help others spark they shine, I was made for. I am king, gradual unconditional love is what evolved my wings. This is how I flew out of eternal purgatory. Changing my patterns to aviate to fly patterns. Moving through the cosmos like the Green Lantern. With you by my side, I'm afraid to fly. With you by my side, I feel the urgency to truly live life. With you by my side, I understand we don't ever really die. We walk in stars destined to rise. We rise.
Welcome back, everybody. That is Ismael Lara, and I love listening to his music. And if you haven't seen him perform, you definitely should. We do have an open mic March 24th on Friday. The doors open at 6 and it starts at 6:30 to 8 p.m. This will be at the Multicultural Center of Marin Building, which is located at 709 5th Avenue, Center Fell. All forms of performance are welcome, such as slam poetry, music, comedy, and so much more. There will be free pizza, and if you have any questions, you feel free to DM us on Tay Radio Marin or at the Multicultural Center of Marin Instagram. Just friendly reminder that this is a family-friendly event, so make sure that your content is appropriate for our audience. And again, if you're there and you see our audience, just read your audience. That's very important. And next thing is the Listos California is the state of California's emergency preparedness campaign. And Listos in Spanish means ready. You can find 5 easy steps to prepare for any natural disaster at their website or text Listos CA to 72345 to receive tips in English or Spanish on how to prepare for natural disasters. You will receive 1 tip per day at the time of your choice over the course of 1 week. And if you have any questions, you can either DM the Multicultural Center Marin or you can ask us. And it is rainy the past few days, so definitely encourage you all to make sure to be safe out there when you drive. I know we all have, busy lives, work, school, and sometimes we're in the rush. But when it's raining, the conditions is very, very different. So please be safe out there when you're driving. We all want you guys to be good, arrive safe at work, and arrive safe at home for sure. With that being said, we're going to continue talking about habits, but we will be sharing the struggles we are facing right now. And I'm going to start with Kimberly with asking her, what are some things that you're struggling? I know you mentioned sleep and eating. Can you elaborate more on those than what you already shared?
Yeah, so sleeping, as I mentioned, I do not get enough sleep, and it affects me throughout the day, and I'm sure it does for other people if you don't sleep. And then on top of that, me not eating. So, okay, example, like one day of my life of like with my sleeping and eating struggles. If I sleep like 4 hours and then I have, let's say, I sometimes have like work and then I have school and then I go to the gym. I have work. I tend to just not eat. And then I probably don't eat like a little thing till like around 1 p.m. And then I go, I'm talking about like my Monday, like my typical Monday. And then I go to the gym. Or no, actually I do something else. I do our meeting. And then I go to the gym. And then I go to the gym. I work out probably for like an hour and a half. It's probably just by then I ate like a few things, not really any like meals. And then I have class at 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. And I'm just in class. I can't eat. And then I go home and then I eat one whole meal and I just like eat as much as I can basically.
Okay. Oh,
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then once I get home, like I'm probably home like around like 9:30 at that time. And I just see whatever I see in front of me. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so hungry. Like my body finally realizes like you're home. This is where you eat. And like, as you said, like my mind, like just like I got so used to not eating when I'm outside. And I got so used to eating when I get home that my body's like, oh my gosh, you're hungry. Like eat. So then I eat whatever like my mom made, or like, then I just like eat whatever else I find like appealing. And I just eat like for like an hour straight, and then I'm probably like on my phone for like 2 more hours, and I do the same thing all over again.
Okay.
So then it affects me because then throughout the day I notice like recently my head's just been starting to hurt because recently was when I started to not eat. That was just like really recent, and I noticed my head starts to hurt, but it's like, oh, I'm drinking water. But it's like I'm also just like not eating, and then I get like lightheaded, and then I'm not sleeping.
And we do have a perfect example. I think one show you were on, you couldn't read.
Oh yeah, I got like super dizzy.
And I remember who you looked at.
Huh?
You looked at one of us to continue the show.
Yeah.
And then you were like, I just can't. And then you were like, I haven't eaten anything all day.
That's a prime example. Yeah, I remember that. And then I just drank water because I was like, I had no food with me, so then I was like, oh, water's gonna do the trick.
Water's going to do the trick.
But that's my like struggle with it. And
Okay.
I'm trying to definitely like get in the habit of eating, of like waking up early and eating, but I first need to start with my sleeping. I feel like that's the first thing that has to come with it, because if I sleep early, for me I'd say early is 11 p.m. So if I sleep at 11 p.m. I could wake up around 7 a.m. and like eat something, like eat like a good like eggs, like a bagel, something like that, and then I'd be good. And then I'd be able to have that habit down of like, first, like it's good to like have little steps. Like that'd be a little step for me, like waking up and making breakfast. And then if I'm not able to really lunch, like it can come as like the time passes. But I think like as soon as I have like breakfast down, it's gonna help me like be able to have lunch down and dinner down. Yeah.
Okay, I can see that.
Yeah.
You know, have you ever seen on Instagram like these amazing routines of like people that have like?
Yes, I wish.
The reason why I bring it up, because that is something that I'm striving for. Because I really do think that if I set myself a good like time management, that these habits will happen automatically. I don't have to think about them. But I do want to wake up early in the morning. And maybe a lot of people I don't want to wake up early in the morning. I want to wake up.
Me too.
Ideally, and I'm going to share with everybody how I would love my everyday life to be, is I would love to wake up at 5:30 in the morning. Me too. Because I want to be working out at 6 in the morning. And I want to have, whether it's an hour or hour and a half, but from 6 to 7 or 7:30. But by 8, I want to be in the shower. And then 8:30, I want to have breakfast. And then from 8:30 to 9, like I can sit down and have an actual good breakfast. And then from 9 to about, let's say 11, I'm working productively, working on my businesses or designing some work. Then from, after 11:30, I would have my break and have lunch, right? 11, prepare my lunch, 11. So for noon, I'll be having lunch. And then 12:30, I'm back to whether I go continue with what I'm doing or do something that is not connected to the computer, because I want some time off. Continue that on between like 5, 6, have Well, usually sometimes if I get the chance to, I'll work out twice a day. Meaning, if I worked out in the morning, let's say around 3, 4, I like to have my second workout because it helps me.
2 workouts?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, 2 workouts because it helps me take out all of what I just had on me. Sometimes when I'm working, I have so many information stacked up onto me that I just feel so heavy or overwhelmed. So when my second workout, it helps me kind of release that. And it's not like a workout where I'm killing myself, but it's more of an activity. You know what I mean by that? And then by 5 or 6, have dinner. And then from then on, it's just working on reading or getting something that is not related to working or anything business wise. But like, I could be reading, I could do something a hobby that I like, be in bed by 9:30 and be asleep at 10. Like that would be my ideal schedule that I want to have. Not because I want to copy what's on Instagram, but I have tried it before. And when I work out in the morning, I feel way more productive and I get a lot more things done than I would when I wake up at 9 or 8:30. I know it sounds early, but for me, it's just not.
That's how, remember I was talking about my semester last year? I was like really on point. That's how my kind of was, like, except for like I had school and stuff. I would wake up like around like 6 a.m. and go to the gym and then go to class right after.
Okay.
So I felt really productive. So I had so much time to study during the day.
Okay. Yeah, that would be my ideal thing. Like that is something that however, it doesn't happen to me often like that. There are days I nail it. There are other days I don't nail it. But again, it's back to that sleeping and figuring out a time to just turn off and go to bed. And I have a really hard time sleeping too. Like my brother's the type of person who's like, I'm not sleepy. 5 minutes in the bed, knocked out. Like that's my brother since he was a little kid. I will spend 30 minutes in my bed flipping over and over, like turning around because I can't go to sleep. My mind, I told my dad this the other day, I was like, but when I'm in my bed, I think about a lot of things. And I think I'm more creative when I'm lying in bed in the darkness than any other place because so many ideas pop up in my head and I can't shut it off. Like I can't. And so he laughs at me. He's like, you know what? You should have a notepad to write every single thing so you won't forget it. Because then the next day I don't remember when I But that is something that I hope for, and that's what I'm working for. So my biggest struggle for me is sleeping. So I can wake up early and have that. And the other thing, too, for people who don't eat, I know part of my issue is that I cannot eat massive amounts of food. Like usually I do not have an appetite in the morning. But for me, it's training again. You train your body to say, oh, we're going to have breakfast. You can have a snack in between if you don't eat too much. Like for me, it's like I can have an oatmeal. That fills me up until 11:30 in the morning, especially if I pack it with protein. That I don't need to eat anything else. If I have 2 eggs and a little bit of avocado on the side with a few strawberries, that can fill me up. But I get hungry really faster. So for me, it's always like a breakfast, lunch, dinner, but I have little snacks in between. That's my body. Other people eat so much, like it can last them until noon, and I'm like, my body's asking me already like 11 or and they're like, no, I eat until 1 or 2 p.m. I'm like, I could never. But that's definitely something that I am gonna work on for 2023. Those are my top priorities right now because it does have a big influence in even with your relationships. Like you don't even think about it, but how you take care of your body has a big impact on the energy that you give out. So for example, if I am on that day where I'm just like, I haven't had enough rest, I'm working so much on the computer, and then my brother comes in or my mom and they're in a good, happy, light mood because they had enough sleep, and I'm here and they start to bother me. Like I can get annoyed, for example, right? I can get annoyed, but it's not their fault. It's on me. Right? Because of the habits that I have. So, and then you can even take it further too, that Well, let me go back after that. You want to add something to what I just said?
Oh, it's kind of not really. I mean, it's just jumping off of it. You could finish.
You can go because mine is completely different now.
Okay. I mean, because you telling that story about like your ideal routine just made me think about like this isn't like for everyone, but I know I've seen that most, especially if you're in college, that's like so unrealistic to have that routine down in a way. I'm not saying for everyone, but what I've seen for most people, like eating, a lot of my classes, like some teachers do allow you to eat, and I see a lot of people like literally eating like full-on meals in class.
Oh, really?
And it's like crazy because it's like they don't have an actual time when to eat because they're so busy with school. And I know like some of these people, they have like such a busy schedule because they're working and then they have all these other classes. And it's like when you're in college, it's semester based, and then some colleges are quarter based. So it switches. Your routine isn't set down for a good amount of time for you to actually nail it down. For me, I realize it takes me around like a month to actually get my like school schedule down with like my internship schedule, like at the like working at the same time, you know, and like being able to be like, okay, now I have this and now I'm gonna switch over to this. It like takes me a while. Like what I noticed from like this is like my first like whole year in college was that last semester I was so good at like being disciplined with my time management, but then and I got like used to it, but then my classes switched and like they're all like different times now. So I had to learn how to like transition over to that. And even right now, like I'm already like a month and a half into like my new like semester. I still haven't gone down my my schedule down completely and like how to manage it. And then also my classes now are ending earlier, so it's like kind of hard to like be able to like switch from that to that. And I feel like if you're a college student that you're going through that and you feel like I can't have a good routine down, just know that like you're not alone. Like I think that happens to everyone, but it's a good thing to have like in your mind that like, okay, it's a new semester, like I gotta like switch it really quick. And like what I think I'm gonna do for next year is be able to because you're allowed to choose your classes like a whole month earlier. And the thing with me, I also like chose my classes probably like a week before classes started. So I'm going to like make sure I have my classes down a month before and make sure I write it all down on my calendar and try to make it into a routine and have my head like in like 2 weeks before class start.
No, thank you for bringing that up. I think that's a very good point because it differs. That's why I said your habits, like a good habit, I think it depends on the type of lifestyle you have because my routine might not be fit for you.
Yeah.
Right. And so that I can't say my routine is good because that's not helping you improve. However, I will say if you have your priorities straight, meaning you know what's important to you, you can work on managing your time that way. For example, if working out for you is really important, you start seeing, these are my class schedules. Where can I fit in my workout? Because that is important for me, right? And we got to remember that, for example, exercising is really good for, especially, I think this is so important for a college student because if you don't get any activity in your day, doesn't mean you got to go weightlifting or running 5 miles. It means any activity to refresh your mind. Sometimes instead of you doing good for studying hours straight, like your mind needs a break from all of the information you take.
Your body needs a break.
Yeah. So finding even 30 minutes or 20 minutes or 10 minutes go for a walk because you're setting your priorities straight. I need a physical activity. 10 minutes, walk around the block. Right? So I definitely think for me, it's finding out instead of just dreaming of a routine, which I think is what I've been doing for the past years, but actually sitting down and saying, this is what I want to accomplish for 2023. Okay. And I'm breaking it down to the small little pieces that there are little things I can do every single day in order for me to achieve that. And it goes with college students. Because if you want to get an A or if you want to pass a class, you have to realize, okay, this is the time I'm going to set myself to study. This is the time I'm going to set myself for this. And then, of course, make time for work. But I do agree with you, Kim, on if you're a college student and you're like, man, I am going through I get it. You guys are in a very interesting stage in your lives because you're in school and it's not just going to class. You got all the after hours. You got to study. You got to do projects, research. It's a whole other world. But definitely keep in mind to do time management, meaning set out everything, your responsibilities, and break them down. Because if you look at it as a whole, it can be overwhelming.
Yeah.
Way overwhelming. So if you break it down into small little things you could do every single day, you realize how less of a weight it is for you. And I do admire Kim the other day, she showed me her calendar and it was so cute. And she's like, yes, because I have to put it in my calendar.
Because I forget.
So that's really good that you work on a calendar, a planner, because then you're on top of it.
The one thing on my calendar that I'm not good at is my study parts.
Study part.
That's the one part that like I'm not good at.
But it's good that you're working for that, and I highly suggest that. Even in like the work and professional career part of my side, that's something that I'm still striving for. Even though I've been doing this for a couple of years now, there's constant things that I'm leaving behind that are bad habits that are not helping me, and I'm like, okay, I need to fix this. I have I help run many businesses with my family. And the other day, my mom, she had asked me to do something, and I forgot. And she called me out on it. And she said, this isn't a game. This is a business. And I was like, man, I know. But I realized it's because I hadn't, like, I think I can memorize everything. Like, I'm like, I got it. I remember. No, I don't. I am not a superhuman. I need to write things down in order for me to check it off on my list. And sometimes that happens to a lot of people.
Yeah.
That they just think they can keep it in their minds.
We're humans. We're imperfect. And I just want to mention, like, what you said, like, oh, we see these Instagram reels of people having these, like, spectacular routines, waking up so early. Know that is just all they post. Like, they have days where that doesn't happen. Like, we're all
sometimes things
imperfect.
happen.
Yeah, we're all imperfect. And it's fine. Like, if you want to get into these good habits, it's a really good thing to start doing. And it's a good way to just start doing it little by little. As I said, I'm going to try to, like, my first step is waking up early, eating breakfast. I'm not going to think, it's not going to be easy and be like, okay, I'm going to have breakfast, lunch, and everything. It's all small steps. And one thing that I remembered from a project I did in high school was SMART goals. Do you know what SMART goals are?
Can you explain SMART goals? Maybe I have a different definition for it.
Okay, this is like what it stands for.
Okay.
It stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound achievements, basically.
Yeah. So I am familiar with the concept. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was just like, when we were talking about all of this, that's what like came up in my head, because I remember we made like SMART goals in high school. It was more like school related, like with our careers and stuff, but it applies to anything. Like, if you have a goal, a little goal, then make sure there are a bunch of templates online if you have like time for that, but just make sure that you have a good measurable achievement. And these are all like small little goals. Like my eating is a small little goal that I want to do.
Yeah. And I'm going to add on to that. Same thing with why I started with 2023, broke it down into small little things. Because if I say, for example, I want to have $10,000 by the end of the year, that sounds like a lot.
Yeah.
But if I break it down, I'm like, all I need to do is put $100 or I don't know the math. I'm not in college, guys. But let's say I'm gonna put $100 in my bank, in my savings account every week, right? And then it's a small thing that you do that eventually it adds up. Same thing. I want to be fit. Okay, what does that mean? You want to go to the gym? There's 365 days in the year. I want to go to the gym, let's say 250 days. Okay, break it down. What does that mean? How many times do I need to go every week? Maybe that's 4 or 5. So you start breaking it down, so it's just something with your brain that it works.
It all has to do with your brain.
Yeah.
Your brain just gets used to it.
Yeah. If you break it down,
routine.
if you make it hard and complicated for your brain, you're going to get that fatigue. Oh man, like 250 days out of the year.
You gotta love it. And then make sure that with your habits, everyone's habits are different. Like your good habits, your bad habits are all different.
Yeah, it can be different for both of us. Yeah.
So make sure your habits are for you, not for someone else. Like make
Yeah.
sure you're getting those good habits because you want that, and that's what's going to make you happy
Yeah, to help you improve
in whatever you.
you're working for. I agree with that. And again, touching back on what you said about Instagram, like I said, that's the ideal routine that I want for myself, and I am striving for that. But yet again, we all have different routines, and if you look at those reels, don't compare your life saying, man, I'm sucking at mine. No, because some of us have other responsibilities, and that looks very different. As long as what you're doing every single day is helping you improve and achieving those goals that you have for you, I think you're winning, right? Because it can be very different. I do want to ask a question, and maybe because I just thought about it right now. Is there anything that has helped you build those good habits?
Yes.
A movie, a TV show, music?
No, none of that. But okay, like you mentioned it, my calendar, being able to write everything down. We have paper, we have technology. I learned for myself personally, I don't like writing in a calendar. I'm not going to look at I think I told you this. I'm not going to look at it as much as like, my computer, I always have my computer with me in class, everything. So all I do is go to my calendar and I look at, okay, what I'm going to do next. Or like sometimes in class, like I just like plan out my next week.
Oh, okay.
So
cool.
Just find a calendar might not be for everyone, but that's for me personally.
I'm the opposite. I love writing it down.
Yeah, because I'm not going to look at it, like pull it out every time. My computer's just something I'm always like on. So that has helped me a lot to be like more disciplined with what I'm gonna do and more like just not forgetting it.
Okay, that makes sense. Anything else that you can suggest?
Off the bat, I can't really think of anything. I feel like that's like one thing. And then also just the people in my life. If you have good people around you, like you, for example, I look at you as someone to look up to.
Oh, thank you.
I look up to you like
same thing. I repeat that all the time to you.
But having people in your life, like I love what you're doing in life, and I like it's aspire to be like that as well.
Oh, that's so sweet.
So
can't relate.
Yeah,
You're gonna make me cry.
So I'd say, having the right people in your life that motivate you to push to your goals. Like my friends
for sure.
are so supportive to me and like help me be like, they help discipline me too. Like if they know like I shouldn't be doing that, they tell me like, girl, don't do that. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. And thank you so much. I think of you the same way. And I'm always telling you, Kim, you inspire me so much just on how old you are and what you're doing. And that is a big thing. Surrounding yourself with people who are going to push you forward and helping you improve rather than bringing you down. Because if you're surrounded by people who are pulling you down, it's not good for you. And it's not good for them either. You both are losing at a relationship. So definitely finding that. I asked you this question because I read a book. It's called The Power of Habit, Why We Do What We Do in Life and Business. I read this book and it changed my perspective. It just taught me a lot of things about habits. So I highly recommend, it's like this big, but I highly recommend reading books that talk about habits and how you can work on creating new habits. Because like this even talks about how businesses were created. Like Febreze, the smell.
Yeah.
That like why it became so popular. It failed in the beginning. Febreze failed in the beginning. But because it connected with a habit, it has the success it has today. So that's just how powerful a habit can be. And it's not just like in your daily life. It affects your economic, your health, your relationships, and so much more. Yeah. So definitely highly recommend that. And at the end of the day, it's just finding out what works best for you, working a schedule that works best for you, and finding out what your priorities are. And don't compare yourselves with other people online, because online just shares like the beauty of it. We all have those days. Like I said, this week I had an insane attack of allergy and a mixture of everything where it messed up my whole routine. And I didn't get to have my regular routine. But again, that is... Yeah, we're at the end of the show. I can't believe time flies.
I feel like we could talk more.
I know. This is such a great topic. I love this topic because it definitely can we can give you guys an actual insight of how our lives are and how you guys can find ways for you to improve and achieve those goals that we all have. With that being said, though, thank you so much, Kimberly, for having this conversation with me. And we all want to thank you all for joining every Friday with us, whether if you listen to it after on Spotify or YouTube or Facebook. We do really appreciate you. And if you have any suggestions on the show, feel free to DM us, Tay Radimer. And yeah, we'll see you guys next week with Annelie